Hello my dear students, welcome back. I hope you all are enjoying the activities which you are doing in the chapter Symmetry and Patterns. Kids, so far we have learnt about symmetry. Let's learn about patterns today. So kids, patterns are created when figures, shapes, objects are repeated in a particular order and repeated over and over again. Kids, you may find patterns everywhere around you. It can be in the carpets, in the flowers, in the staircase, and even on the bodies of animals and birds. Kids, let's now study the patterns in detail. Can you observe this pattern created with the help of shapes? Here we have used circle and square to create a pattern. And can you observe that how this pattern is repeating itself? A circle is drawn first, then a square, then again a circle of red color, then again a square. What do you think will be drawn next? Yes, we will be drawing a circle of red color and then a square and then a circle again and then a square. So kids, here you may observe that we have created a pattern using red colored circle and a green colored square, isn't it? Kids, we can also create patterns using numbers. Observe this pattern. Here the numbers 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 is showing you some repetition. Can you find out what is the repetition here? Kids, here the number is repeatedly multiplied by 2. Like if you multiply the first number, which is 2, with 2 you get 4. And when you multiply this 4 with 2, you will get 8. And then if you multiply 8 by 2, you get 16. And then if you multiply 16 by 2, you get 32. And then if you multiply 32 by 2, you get 64. So that means in this pattern, the repetition is multiplication by 2. And that will create a pattern. So kids, let's now explore more patterns in Check What You Know of Chapter 7 of your book. Question 1 says, fill in the missing shape to complete the pattern. Now kids, in A part, you have been given with some dots which are repeating itself and expanding itself. And then there's a blank given to you and you have to observe these dots, how they are expanding or how they are growing, and then you have to fill the blank accordingly. So, in first pattern, you may observe that there are 3 dots drawn in the shape of L. And then that shape grows in the second L as 1 dot is increased in the vertical line and 1 dot is increased in the horizontal line. And then if you observe this, how can you find out the pattern? You may observe that you have 3 dots in second L as vertical line and 3 dots in horizontal line. And if you observe the last L in the pattern, here how many dots are there in horizontal line? Yes, there are 5 dots in horizontal line and 5 dots in vertical line. So, what is missing between 3 dots in horizontal and 3 dots in vertical and 5 dots in horizontal and 5 dots in vertical? Yes, 4 dots are missing. That means the blank will have 4 dots in horizontal line and 4 dots in vertical line. Right? But kids, also observe that the dot which is joining this L shape is common in both horizontal as well as vertical line. That means we will draw it only once, but we will count it in both the lines, right? So the pattern would be like Now let's move to B part of this question. In this, the pattern is showing you the petals and the petal is growing one by one, right? There is only one petal first, then there are two petals, then there are three petals, and then there would be four petals given in the shape of a plus sign like this, right? Because we have each petal at different angle, and that angle is each petal is aligned at 90 degree. So we will draw one more petal, that is your fourth petal, over here just below the petal which is on the top, right? Just like this. Let's move to question number 2. It says tick the number that belongs to the pattern. Now kids, you are given with some number patterns here and you are given with some options of numbers. You have to tick or you have to fill in the blank with the number from the box which may complete this pattern, right? So let's observe A part first. The numbers given to you are 4, 8, 16. And the options are 10, 12 and 20. Kids, when you observe this pattern, don't you find that table of 4 is being written here? All the multiples of 4 are written. 4, then second multiple is 8, then a blank is given, then fourth multiple is 16. That means first multiple of 4 is written, second multiple of 4 is written, then fourth multiple of 4 is written. That means the third multiple of 4 is missing. So which is the third multiple of 4? We know that 12 is the third multiple of 4. So we will write 12 here. Now let's move to B part. Here the numbers given to you are 1, 3, 7. Kids, when you observe these given numbers, what do you observe? What kind of numbers these are? Yes, these all are odd numbers. So which odd number is missing from here? From the series? Yes, number 5 is missing because 3 is already written here and 4 is not an odd number. So the blank will be filled by number 5. Now look at question number 3, kids. It says color to complete the tiling patterns. Here 2 tiling patterns are given. Kids, you have already done the tiling patterns in class 3. Here in A part, they have created a beautiful pattern with the help of yellow and green color lines. And what they have done, they have joined the diagonals of the square to create the pattern, and then they have colored the pattern accordingly. And in the B part, they have used pink and blue color to create a beautiful pattern using triangles, right? So now you have to observe these patterns and you have to draw and color the pattern accordingly in order to complete these tiling patterns. I hope you may do it yourself. Now kids, do you observe something special in these patterns? Yes, these patterns are repeating itself without leaving gaps in it, right? So such patterns are called tessellations. So kids, tessellations are the patterns made by the shapes of tiles that fit together exactly without leaving any gap. Tiles does not mean that we are using actual tiles. We are calling the shapes as tiles, right? Such patterns are called tilings or tessellations. Let's learn more about tessellations by watching this video.
Have you seen a honeycomb in which bees live and make honey? What does it look like? The honeycomb has a pattern of 6-sided shape called a hexagon. These hexagons are closely packed together, leaving no gaps or space between them. They form a continuous pattern. Such a pattern in which the shapes fit together without gaps or space between them is known as tiling or tessellation. patterns made with triangles, squares, and rectangles can form tessellations. Not all shapes can form tessellations. Patterns made with circles, pentagons, and heptagons do not fit together without leaving gaps or spaces between them, and so cannot form tessellations. Try to make patterns in your workbook with the given shapes and find out which of them can form tessellations and which cannot.
I hope you people have got a better idea about tilings or tessellation by watching this video. Let's now do exercise 3 to get a better understanding. It says, which of these shapes tessellate? Test them and then put a tick or cross. Now kids, there are few shapes given to you and they are asking you to check whether they tessellate or not. So let's start with A part. A triangle is given to you. Let's repeat this pattern and see whether the triangle will tessellate or not. When you repeat drawing a triangle like this, even the gaps in between will give you the inverted triangle, right? Which will be filled by the same shape but in inverted manner. That means it is filling all the gaps and it is fitting itself exactly without leaving any gap, right? So that means this shape tessellates. Now in B part, you are given with one rectangle. And kids, when you draw rectangles without leaving any gaps, you will find that it will create a tiling pattern. That means it will fit exactly with one another. That means it will tessellate. So B part also tessellates. Now let's observe D part. Trapezium is drawn here. Now if you repeat drawing this tile, you will find that there's a triangle left in between the gaps, right? That means you cannot fit the same tile in those gaps. That means it is leaving some gaps in between. So we will say that this shape or this tile does not tessellate. Let's observe one more part. In F part, the tile given to you may repeat itself like this without leaving any gap. That means it fits exactly with one another, right? So that means this shape is also tessellating itself. Now kids, try to find out yourself that whether the shapes given in C part and E part tessellate or not. Draw the shapes repeatedly and find out whether it will tessellate or not. I hope you have understood the concept of patterns and tessellations.